Hey everybody, how you doing? If you're saying, "Hey, wait a minute, didn't you have this up earlier?" And the answer is yeah, but what happened was I was recording a video regarding the NFL annual meeting and used the wrong overlay. I made a mistake, so this is clearing up the mistake and getting the message out. At any rate, and show and so the show goes on. Ever since that I heard the name Egon Durban, the CEO of Silver Lake, the famous private equity organization that's in Menlo Park and also in New York City. I had this feeling. I thought, why is that name bugging me, Egon? Where have I ever heard that name, Egon? It was just something bugging this vlogger, right? And yeah, it's an unusual name, but that wasn't what was bugging me at all. Look, my name, Zennie Abraham, isn't a normal name either, right? So something was just eating at me. It's like, what is it? What is it? And then it hit me. And then it hit me, okay? Egon Durban is similar to Egon Spengler. Remember Egon Spengler, famously played by Harold Ramis in the Ghostbuster movie series, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking Egon, he has got to have similar characteristics to the Egon in Ghostbusters. So I look, and guess what? He does. He's a nerd, just like Egon Spengler. Egon Durban is a nerd. But the question is, what is he a nerd about? And that's where we turn to this look at the succession plan for the Las Vegas, once Oakland Raiders, that is going to be introduced at next week's NFL annual meeting in Phoenix. A succession plan that has none other than Egon Durban in line to be the next owner of the Raiders if Mark Davis decides to activate the succession plan. And this is not to say that Mark is going into retirement next week and he is going to go off in the sunset and, build an even larger mansion than he has in Las Vegas in Bora Bora or something like that. Well, you know what? He had to have enough money to do that in both places, right? And somewhere else too. But I digress. The bottom line is, okay, is who is Egon Durban? Egon Durban is 52 years old. He is a graduate of Georgetown. He worked in Morgan Stanley before taking sort of a winding path to winding up being one of the founders of Silver Lake Private Equity in Menlo Park. And in, I believe, 2005, no, excuse me, not 2005, but in 2011, he was named president of the firm, co-CEO of the firm. Uh, and so after that, he gained a close relationship from a business perspective with Elon Musk. And according to my research, that happened uh, way before the $44 billion Twitter acquisition and of course, the scandal that came after it. But in total, there were 8 different transactions that marked his relationship with Elon Musk. And that's why I wrote a piece that said that Egon Durban's elevation to owner of the Raiders opens the door for Elon Musk because of all the other transactions they've done. For example, Egon was also involved in the Tesla doings as the personal financial advisor to Elon Musk himself. And his name, Egon Durban's name, is brought up in a board meeting or set of board meeting minutes I found online regarding Tesla and an unnamed company that Musk wanted to start that was eventually the focus of some unusual maneuverings at the time. Now, what does all that have to do with the matter of the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's like this. What if I told you that Mark Davis was to give up the managing general partner role to someone who had no net worth? You and others would say that's crazy. Others, other investors with the Raiders would say, why are you doing this? Hey, put me in charge. Or if Mark kept pushing it, they would probably sue him. Okay? Because you'll be talking about someone with no net worth. Well, let's take a look at Mr. Durban, who at one point was at 4.4 billion in net worth, I believe in 2000, as far back as 2022 or 2021. But then after the matter of Dell and the Dell, a very complicated set of actions that led to Dell's dramatic dramatic value sell-off. And after that passed by, and in a fashion that was such that some would say that Egon Durban was guilty of insider trading. I'm not making this up, folks. I don't report these things with glee, but I do believe they should be, I do believe they should be reported about and evaluated because of the nature and size of this undertaking that is proposed for next week. All right, that's why. So the simple fact of the matter is that with respect to Dell, Egon Durban wound up, I believe, dumping a great haul of his stock somewhere in the neighborhood of, I believe, about 11 million in value. But that pales into comparison with the dramatic loss during that time of his net worth, and that's where he went down to approximately $2.6 billion. He had sold 71,000 Class C shares of stock for 9.81 million, and this was done actually this year on March of this year, but or excuse me, last year, 2025. But and this is the title of this transaction is Insider Disclosed a Meaningful Block Sale, 71,000 Class C shares for 9.81 million, and that's was filed by the Securities Exchange Commission. Now, the Dell situation itself, and regarding insider trading, goes essentially like this. It says, it reads, Silver Lake, I'm sorry, top. No, that was top. This was just 6 minutes ago. Top Dell executive makes massive move with multi-million-dollar stock sale, and this was just March 25th, 2026 today, and it reads that this is William Chanel that did this time. It wasn't Egon Durban, because I thought he was long gone from Dell. So that's brand new. But the trading activity that I'm talking about here that had a dramatic impact on Dell was, well, that news is actually clouded with this recent transaction today, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but at all. He has but it is noted that Egon Durban has had, I believe, 24 insider trades, it reads here, in Dell stock since 2021. And their most recent trade was a sale of 71,000 shares. He's a superbly active gentleman with respect to Dell Technologies. And it's a gigantic sell-off. And so it now in 2023, there was a $1 billion, and this is what I'm referring to, settlement over a 2018 stock swap and now a 2026 lawsuit alleging 401k mismanagement that lost employees to 318 million in value. So what I'm talking about is the $1 billion settlement in 2023. Now that $1 billion payout in where Dell reached a $1 billion payout as part of a settlement to shareholders, all right, was the episode where Durban lost an incredible amount of his net worth. An incredible amount of his net worth, from 4.4 billion to 4.6 billion. Excuse me, to 2.6 billion. Again, from 4.4 billion to 2.6 billion. And so if he's headed in that direction, and of course now we have the Twitter shareholder controversy, which on the surface it doesn't look like he's going to get punished for this determined to have been a fraud, but the night is young with this. The verdict was just handed down last Friday. It's a civil lawsuit, not a criminal one. Overall, when you take a look at Mr. Durban's activity, considering that his overall net worth is much smaller than that of Dave Tepper, who owns the Carolina Panthers. Dave Tepper, I believe, clocks in at just over 12 billion. Josh Harris is at 13 billion. When you consider the dramatic swings in net worth that Mr. Durban is experiencing, from a percentage perspective, they have had a much greater impact on his net worth. And so the Raiders should be asking the question, is this the right person to have in play, considering the volatility of his net worth of late and the number of boards he's on, the total amount of stocks that he's holding in different companies. This is an unprecedented place for NFL teams to be in. And so I believe that the NFL should really see how the whole Twitter shareholder controversy shakes out before approving the succession plan, and then putting in the safeguards to protect both Egon Durban and the Raiders and the NFL once it's in place, given the volatility of his activity. That's all I'm saying. And I think it's a logical position to take, rather than just rubber stamping the matter and saying, oh, you know what, this is something that's got to be done, and there's no problem here, and just let this go on. Well, there is a problem here, because the NFL in its history has always been able to rely on robust streams of money that serve as the underpinning of league finances and investor holdings. But when you start having investor net worth look like it's fluctuating on the level of Bitcoin, I don't think that portends a solid future for the NFL. And the NFL's better off seeking partnerships with, say, organizations like CalPERS, the Public Employees Retirement System, and governments, and even city governments, like having teams owned by city governments, uh, with respect to, as opposed to high net worth individuals that um, have almost a casino-like track record of fluctuations in net worth. I would be very, very concerned, and if the NFL went ahead and just passed this without at least an intense discussion of what was going on and what was being done. And that's not happening. That's not happening. So look into Egon Durban at a much greater level than the Ghostbusters one, and see what pops up, because he has his hand in a number of transactions that have been effective and innovative, but also controversial. Yes, I understand that he has Jared Kushner as a friend and partner in this other instance, the raising of $55 billion, so that EA Sports could be acquired by a quartet of investors, including Silver Lake, represented by Egon Durban. Great, he's been able to amass that kind of money. But again, I'm talking about putting him in as the person who will be the managing general partner at a net worth of 2.6 billion, that at this point seems like it may be threatened by the Twitter shareholder issue, and maybe there are other issues out there we're not aware of and we need to look at. That's my point. It's different for, say, a landholder whose value fluctuations are a lot less hinky. All right. This is, and I don't mean to be insulting of Mr. Durbin, because frankly speaking, I think that a lot of transactions he's been involved in are very exciting and very interesting from a tech perspective, um, very innovative from a tech financing perspective, and approaches that I certainly want to look into with respect to my company, on a smaller scale, of course. But my point is, just because I think that I will always feel a certain romanticism for this kind of financing, doesn't mean I think it's appropriate for an NFL team. And right now, I'm not sure. I'm not saying no, but I'm not sure that it is. And I think it deserves some scrutiny. All right. Let me know what you think. See ya.